Hi everyone, it's Christy, and as I'm looking towards November, I wanted to put together a small gratitude journal. So what I did was I took some 12 by 12 sheets of cardstock and simply cut them in half so that I had 6-inch strips. And then I took the 6-inch strips and folded them all in half, and I punched 3 holes in it and ran some string through it to tie them together into a little booklet. So now I have this 6-inch by 6-inch booklet, and I'm going to go through and do a little bit of watercoloring in it, because this is a lightweight cardstock. Maybe, I think it feels like about 110-pound cardstock. It should take the watercolor okay, and so I'm going to watercolor some little places to write, and thought I'd bring you along for the journey. So I just grabbed a handful of appropriate fall type colors, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to use, so I'll pick from those. And if you have been reluctant to get into watercolors, because sometimes starting in a new thing just feels like, oh, there's a lot of expense involved. Well, I don't buy all the fancy doodads. I just use a paper plate instead of a fancy purchased, I don't know what they call it, a paint palette. And so I just put a little dab. Oh, that one's on there tight. Oh, okay, I might not be using that one today. That one's too tight. So I just put a little dab of paint on the paper plate, and then I'll use some water to lighten them up and spread them. I'm just going to get 4 or 5 colors on here to begin with. Alright, so I hope where you are the weather is beginning to turn fall-like. It is finally turning fall. We had kind of an extended summer. The warm, wet temperatures lasted longer than usual. But we're finally starting to get into some fall temperatures, and so I'm excited about that because I really don't like the heat. And maybe I'll just do a little bit of this. Okay, so that gives me a few colors to start with. Let me try this yellow one more time and see if I can... Nope, that one's going to need some pliers or something to open it. Okay. Well, let's see. I'll make sure I'm in frame here. Yeah, you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Grabbed a couple of paint brushes. Not sure what I want to use here. Maybe this one. We'll start with this one and see how it goes. So, one of the things I like to do is, to get started, I just use a squirt. This is just a squirt bottle with just plain water in it, tap water. And it just helps. I don't have to saturate my brush so much if I just spray some water onto, except my sprayers. There. I need to add more water to my sprayer because it's getting below the sprayable level. Okay. We'll start with that. That'll just give me some. Okay. So you know what? For now, I'm going to skip the cover. I'll come back to that. And then open up to the first page spread. And get everything situated here a little bit. Let's start with, this is a nice place to start. So I'm going to just make basically some little text bubbles, you know, spots to write in, and so each little square will give me a little text bubble that I can write something, a gratitude thought, you know, something I'm thankful for. There's no right or wrong to this. You'll kind of probably develop your own little style for this. And I'm not sure what I want to do here. Maybe I think you can still see me. And I got a brush bristle. Let me see if I can take up that brush bristle. Come on. There. I just didn't want to have the brush bristle permanently attached right there, so oh, you know what? It's still there. Or else I lost another one. This might not be a very good brush. It might be kind of old and the bristles might be starting to fall out. I've had some of these were hand-me-downs, secondhand. Try and smooth the edges back out a little bit after all that. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna grab some brown, and I'm just gonna do some light, just adding a little bit of accent to some of these, and then I'm gonna, what do I want to do here? Add kind of my own no real right or wrong, like I said, and there we go, get done some. I might switch to my other brush. This is kind of a small brush. I might use a little bit wider one so I can put down a larger swath of color at the same time. Okay. Let's see here. So, what are your favorite things about fall, autumn, changing of the weather? I'll be honest, autumn really isn't my favorite time of year because I have fall allergies, and so I associate it with being congested and having allergy symptoms, so not really one of my favorite things. And I'm not a pumpkin spice person at all. I just think pumpkin spice is overrated. I love pumpkin pie, but I don't want that flavor in everything I eat, right? Okay, let's do some green here. Oops, that might be a little heavy. Let's see, maybe just some green along the edge, maybe along this edge. A little bit up in the corner here. Okay. So, I was looking at the calendar the other day because I hadn't looked as far ahead as Christmas. It looks like Christmas is on a Wednesday this year, so that ought to be interesting. I don't work, I'm semi-retired, so it doesn't affect me in that sense, but for family members that, you know, trying to get together, I'll probably have to work a good part of that week. So it'll be interesting to see what becomes of that. I'm not sure if my brother, for instance, will have to work, you know, the days around the beginning of the week and the end of the week that week. So, I know it seems like a long ways off, but it's really coming quick. Christmas will be here before you know it. Okay. I'm trying to think if I want to do maybe one more down here. And your shapes don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be rectangles. I'll probably change it up and do some squares and odder shapes as I go along. What next? Maybe, I'm not sure. Let me try this. I'm not sure how this black will come out. Yeah, when these dry, they'll be light enough that you'll be able to write on it still. I'm not too worried about even the black, as long as I don't go way overboard with it. Okay. What am I doing? Let's do... See, it changed it up. I had kind of a lot of rectangles on that page, so I wanted to kind of change up break up the shape pattern a little bit. So a skinny heart. And then, oops, that's kind of a blob. There we go. What are we going to do here? Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your crafts and using your crafts as a way to connect with God. I've got kind of a lot of paint on that for some reason. Yeah, it got it up in the, too far up in the brush. I think crafting gives us an excellent way to let our right brain kind of connect with God and give our rational mind a rest while we use our right brain to connect with God. Okay, this blue is coming out a little bit brighter than I maybe want, so I might do another layer on top of that that'll kind of tame that back a little bit. I'm gonna add some of this, try to tone down the brightness of that, and it'll just give it kind of a variegated tone. Okay, I actually got kind of too much water in that. I'm gonna just dab it a little bit so that it doesn't wrinkle the paper too bad. I know, those of you who are actual artists are probably aghast at me doing things like that, but you don't have to be an actual artist to have fun, you know? Okay, I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper and before I turn the page, I want to add another fleck of color, maybe a tad of black right in here. Just to give it a little bit of variation. Okay, maybe just a little bit of shadowing here. Okay, I'm just going to lay this down so that these two pages won't bleed onto each other too terribly. And we'll start again on this next page. Yeah, I was going to go back and forth and do a couple pages at a time, but I realized that that might not be the best idea. So we'll just start again. And keep going. And these aren't very big spaces. They're a couple inches, you know, couple inches here and there. But it's enough to write down a brief little thought of something that you're grateful for. And that's all I'm after, is just some short little thoughts. Okay. So one thing I'm grateful for is this time last year I moved to Glendive, Montana, and it's been kind of a difficult change for me, but you know, it's really remote. It's a very small town. Things like that have been hard for me to get used to, you know, and I'm feeling kind of stuck in my house a little bit. Just you know, when the only thing there is to do in town is to go to the grocery store. That might be a little bit of a smaller town than I was after, but you know, it's all good, and God has me here for a reason. So I'm grateful for that. And my brother lives here, which is why I moved here. So I get to see him most of the time. You know, most weekends we get together and go out to dinner, or we'll play a board game, or watch a movie or something. Okay. So there we go. Moving right along. Oh, I'm forgetting to kind of add some flecks of color. Just gives the eye, adds some eye appeal. What next? Brown, I guess. Oops. I said I was going to change brushes and then I forgot to. Oh well. I forget that should keep talking. Live alone. I'm not used to talking to myself while I do this. Reminds me of, have you watched those ASMR videos where there's no talking, just the sound of tearing paper and peeling stickers and different things like that, the sounds of making crafts. I actually kind of enjoy those. They are super relaxing. If you've never seen one, just go onto YouTube and search ASMR. It's just a different sensory experience of watching a video without anyone talking. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of color here. There we go. Trying to decide what to do on some of these to give them a little bit different look. Okay. I'm gonna grab another piece of scrap paper. I tear up magazine pages and stuff that I can just use for things like this. And I'm gonna actually, yeah, I'll just do that. Okay. What next? What next? What next? Let's start with a little green. I don't want to do this. I grabbed my browns and stuff, but I keep gravitating to the greens and reds because I like the bright colors. Fall colors. I like the happy colors, you know. There's a place for brown, but this is not a happy color to me. What's next? Let's see. Keep adding. Okay. My lighting is changing. The cloud just went in front of the sun. I do have my overhead lamp on, so that should help mitigate what you might be seeing. And the sun just came out from the cloud, so now it's bright again. All right, what's next? I try to change up the shapes and the orientation of the shapes, so we've got some horizontal rectangles and some vertical rectangles, and mix it up with some squares and ovals and different things. Oh, Yep, changed my mind. Decided I wanted that box a little bit longer. Kind of to break up the line. I was accidentally creating a vertical line out of those two boxes, so I broke that up by making one box longer than the other. And now we'll take, what next? Let's try a little bit of this black again. I mixed a couple colors together to see if I get this bronzy autumn tone out of it, and I'm liking that. That came out fine. I mixed the pink, the red, and the amber color. Got kind of this nice tone out of that. I'm gonna give this one a little bit of that on the edge, maybe. All right. Again, there's no right or wrong to any of this. It's all good. Just experiment with the colors. I'm kind of doing that, combining a couple colors. I'd like to really want to kind of dry that, but it'll absorb, I think. Grab some of the excess water off of that so that it won't. Okay. Where to start? Let's start with some good old brown, I think. Okay, I'm gonna check. Yep, I'm still in frame, and this is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna pause this and continue painting, and I'll show you a little bit more when we get closer to the end.